I'm a nerd.
Nerds.
Nerds.
Nerds!
I'm not kissing a nerd.
What is a nerd?
Nerd!
Holy crap, are we nerdy?
And yet he probably would have gotten the job.
Anytime you talk about Bangkok, you got to get the job. No?
I like the little one who talked about Bangkok. Let's hire that one.
I don't know what this Bangkok is. So anyways, welcome to Nerdables episode 114. This week we are going to dissect the Batman vs. Superman trailer.
Yeah, I'm going to do that right now. Ready? All right, well, that's done. Let's talk about the next topic.
So disappointing. Talk about Captain America trailer. And
I found something out on that one that I'm so disappointed.
We'll save for last because I know that's the one that everybody is ready to talk about.
But we have nothing to talk about.
Samurai Jack is returning.
Yay.
So, joining me this week are Chris, Ethan, Sebastian, and Mikey.
You just forgot Sebastian's name, didn't you?
No, I was almost going to say Travis.
You had to do a little head swing so he can kind of see around the table. And he's like, oh, yeah, it's Sebastian.
He's just screwing his shoulders like, is that...
No.
Oh, no. Is that my friend who's 6'5" and blonde? No, it's the guy who's a little over 5 feet and dark black hair.
Although, Sebastian and I did hang out all day Friday at Disneyland, which was fun.
Is that the third or fourth time you went this week, Sebastian?
This is the first time this week. I went like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I was going to say.
It hadn't been long.
No.
For those who don't know,
the
Sebastian
Star Wars
goes
landing
just about
bay
everywhere.
is really good, though.
It is really nice. So everybody go.
Have they finished Star Wars Land yet?
No. They gotta. Everybody has.
Have they even started? Have they
They have not
cordoned off
ground
where it
yet.
is or anything?
They're gonna close down the rivers of America and the
Yeah,
train
I heard there's a whole
and the
bunch of stuff.
barbecue area.
Because is it they're
January
knocking?
17th is the
I
last
think
day.
so. Yeah.
Are they blowing up
Toontown?
Toontown?
In a feat of irony, they will not be.
No,
blowing
it's
up
going
Toontown.
beside it.
Yeah, it's gonna.
So they do have
there's like
enough room.
employee offices sort of behind
Yeah.
the Toontown area,
And they just fired
Thunder
everybody and
Ranch.
got rid of them.
No, that's what that 14 acres that is off-site
Yeah, they
is.
bought like that weird like stretch of like parking lots next to some hotels. They're gonna build new offices there.
That's crazy.
They should blow up Tom Sawyer Island. Just actually blow it up in the middle.
Oh, Tom Sawyer Island was the
Disneyland.
best. I love
They're
Tom
closing
Sawyer
it down for the part of the
because
remodel.
they're gonna reroute the river and they're gonna reroute the train, so they can.
No, not the train.
That's closing.
So wait, everything-
It'll
it's
have
just
an upgrade to it.
So what closes on the 17th? The Rivers of
so
America.
Rivers of America.
Tom
and
Sawyer
Tom
Island.
Sawyer Island.
Okay.
Big Thunder Ranch. The
Crap.
train that encircles the. Park.
We went to Big Thunder Ranch because we were thinking about eating there because we were all like, well, let's go one last time to it and eat.
Yeah.
It's booked through December 17th.
I don't believe it.
And they said if you want reservations now, you better get them in because it's going to be booked up and they close down the 17th of January.
Yep.
So
Now I got to find out when.
anybody listening that's going to Disneyland, make sure you put in a reservation to eat there.
Well, my friend is coming from Australia, and I've promised her to go to Disneyland for the first time in almost 3 decades. And all I want to do is ride the train because that was my favorite thing as a kid. Because when we went as a family,
Was it
that's the first thing
dinosaurs?
we did. It wasn't even the dinosaurs. It was, well, I mean, that was part of it. But we would get to Disneyland, and everyone would be like super excited and everything. And we just get on the train and we go around once, and then we go do whatever. And I'm like, oh, if they close the train, if it's after the 17th, I can't remember when she's coming out.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
January. I know it's
temporarily
mid.
closed. So.
Yeah, but it's more.
all be closed
Look,
for
if
a
I'm
year.
gonna go for the first time in almost 3 decades,
You
and
wanna
like the
ride-
one ride that I don't want to go on is gonna suck if I've got to wait another year and a half for it.
Oh, that's right, because you went to California last time. You didn't go to
Yes,
Disneyland.
nope, I didn't go to Disneyland. I only went to California Adventure.
That's right. Ethan hasn't been since Arabella was.
No, I've been.
I haven't been since
I've
1996.
been
So
back in June.
Oh.
I went when my family came out there.
That's right.
Oh.
Before that, Arabella was. Beth was pregnant with Arabella.
No, it was Arabella's first birthday, I think.
Was it? Oh, you
Yeah.
went. Okay. Interesting.
The time we all went.
yeah, I went in '96. I went for free. I couldn't tell you the last time I actually
Stayed
paid to go
overnight.
to Disneyland.
Yeah, that's right, because you drove down with my mom.
Hey, I wouldn't start laughing because at some point Ethan's gonna be your stepdad. How weird is that gonna be?
Can we please just move on?
Daddy, Ethan.
Fuck you.
Can I
Why-
have some
Fuck
money?
Why are you younger
Fuck
than
you.
me?
Can I have some money?
Ethan.
Better not write me out of the will, Dad.
There's
You're
not
so
gonna be any.
honorable.
Have you met my mom? There's
No, I know.
Okay, 13th through the 18th. She leaves on the 18th, and we're going to the Ducks Kings game on the 17th.
Okay,
There
so
you
you
go.
have time.
You got a little time,
You have
so-
you've got, like,
Hopefully
the
we
last
go
couple
early
days.
because I think she's going like the very first day, so maybe like the 14th. Anyway,
So
I'm sure everybody's riveted by this.
Batman Superman
Nope.
released its trailer a week after we had Captain America: Civil War.
Nope.
Yeah, and it was clearly clearly why they did it. It's like,
Yes.
Civil
Oh,
War,
totally.
we got our ace in the hole,
Yeah.
Doomsday, and Batman with a gun. Because that's what people have been
No.
waiting for since the serials in the 40s and Tim Burton's
Nope.
1989
Finally
Batman. They've been
picks
waiting
up a gun.
for Batman with a gun.
Yep.
And Zack Snyder, director of great like Sucker Punch, will be bringing it to you.
No. I don't even remember him having a gun. I'll be honest. That's how much I paid attention to the trailer when I saw it.
It was
It's
the, it was
the
the
very end with
out of
when-
everything that was out of place, it was the most askew. It was just like that. Like I think the last shot.
It's
where
the very last shot
it's
where
Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, and he's there, and he's got like an assault rifle in his hands, like just standing there, like oh.
Well, Nolan's Batman had that little EMP gun.
Yeah,
That was
but
pretty
it's-
cool.
Well, that's what it kind of looked like. I mean, it
it's
wasn't.
what
entirely
it
possible
is.
it's something
I can't
else.
imagine it's a machine gun.
But
Although,
it's
because
that-
it always drove me crazy. Because even in the Tim Burton ones, they're like, oh, he has machine guns on his car, and I'm like, why does he have machine guns on his
which
car?
he uses to cut
Doors.
off
Yeah.
just high enough.
And that's
for
the
his
thing is,
car to
someone
fit
tries
through.
like, oh, they're all rubber bullets for like crowd control and stuff. Like, not if you cut a door in half.
Yeah.
That's not happening.
Well, see, but he could have picked up an assault rifle because you had Superman's minions there that could
Well, I
have.
think that's a dream sequence, but it's still the
A dream
a
sequence.
really dumb
I
dream
think it's all
sequence.
a dream.
So basically, it's the end of the movie is Christopher Nolan waking
My-
up
my-
and having a nightmare with cold sweat and
He's
everything.
holding a snow globe with Superman inside of it.
What could have been?
I think it's a dream sequence mostly because, like, I think it was like a couple Entertainment Weeklies ago. They're like, look at the cool set photos from Batman, Superman, and the dumbest one was Batman in disguise amongst the Superman army, but it's him in a brown trench
Trench
coat
coat.
and the cowl and goggles. Like, yeah, okay, in disguise. Yeah, it's got to be like a dumb nightmare sequence where he's like, hey, Superman, no! And then
The very end of it's Kevin Smith waking
It's
up
like
from
that.
a nightmare.
What was that picture online for the longest? It's those like 3 foot tall Supermen.
Yeah.
And there's that one Batman in the middle, and it's like day 6. They still haven't discovered I'm among them, or something like
Yes.
that.
exactly.
Okay, so I know there are some people that listen to the podcast that are
There's some
major-
people that listen to the podcast.
that are major DC fans, major Batman fans in particular.
How do we know this?
I know one of them that listens to the show.
Okay, so the listener
the
is a big
a listener, and
fan.
he actually, I was going to have him come on the show, but then I thought maybe that might not be a good idea considering everybody else seems to have hated it.
Hate's a strong
I can't
word.
just think it. I don't think it's like.
Well,
I mean,
I
I'll just
think-
say like I don't. I dislike
It's a
this
it's a
trailer.
disappointing
it
thing. I don't
wasn't
think a hate
hatred.
thing is like if this is something that means a lot to you. Like if we watched the first Star Wars trailer and it was just ass,
Yes,
I think we would hate it because Star Wars means a lot to us. In terms of any of us here, Batman and Superman are cool characters, and we're hoping the movie would have been good. It's just more like disappointing. It's more of a
I kind of for me it was just sort of
Exactly.
my confirmation bias. Like I didn't like Man of Steel at all. In fact I hated the movie Man of Steel. And then the trailers for
There's a
this came out
surprise.
and it's sort
I
of
know,
like
right?
and it was like you know what, I'm just not going to go see the second one. Whatever.
Yeah.
And then this trailer's like, well, good thing I'm not going to spend any.
at least you still have Suicide Squad coming.
Here's the thing. I mean, like, from the Comic-Con trailer, I was so excited to see this movie. And then seeing this trailer, it just totally disappointed the hell out of me. They gave, one, the major villain up, towards the end. And then, two, the fact that, what is his name, Jesse Eisenberg?
Yes.
yeah.
God.
Okay, so now we want to talk
Okay,
about.
so let's
hold
go
on,
into the whole
let's,
trailer.
Let's do disappointing then. We'll go through the Jesse Eisenberg thing. Because remember for the longest time everyone was like, "Oh, Bryan Cranston's going to be Lex Luthor." Bryan Cranston, and then
Yes.
they said Jesse Eisenberg was going to be, and I thought it was a great choice because I think Jesse Eisenberg is a really good actor.
He can act when he chooses. to.
And well, he's still
He didn't
acting.
choose to.
That's just the choices that either he or the director/producer made as to how
Or
they
both.
want to do Lex Luthor is extremely disappointing
Yes.
because
Yeah.
it is the silly,
It's going
crazy,
back to Gene
Joker-esque.
Hackman again.
Yeah, it's the Hackman one, and the story that I have for it was when I watched the trailer when I was at work, and one of my associates, Emily, was not watching the trailer. She was actually doing work. It was crazy, and so she
Somebody
just listened
doing
to
work
it. Yeah, I
at
know
work?
it was
Do work?
crazy. so she was listening to the trailer, and that part comes up where Jesse Eisenberg first talks as Lex Luthor at the party, and she said, "Who is that?" And I said, "It's Jesse Eisenberg." She's like, "No, what character?" I said, "It's Lex Luthor." "Why is he gay? And why is he so dumb?" And it's because that's the choice they decided to make. And she said, "I thought Lex was a very serious character." And I said, "It is for the most part. You know, we've seen so many incarnations of a fairly serious, maniacal in a way of his villainy, but not in
He's
the
malevolent.
and the mustache twirl and all that. It's not there. It's a very kind of serious role and full of confidence and all of that. And this is, and I told her, it's much more like what they ended up doing with Superman, and especially Superman 3 with Gene Hackman as Lex Luthor, where they turned him into a buffoon.
Right.
I mean, this guy's supposed to be one of the smartest people on the planet, and he just doesn't sound like it in this. And it just, you're watching the party scene, and I told you last night, it reminded me of Dark Knight with Heath Ledger's Joker at the party, at the benefit.
Well,
So-
even doing the long hair, I get that. Okay, we're going to do the long hair, and then at the end he's going to be bald, obviously. And if you watch the Now You See Me Too trailer, his hair, you can tell his hair is growing back. That that he does have it shaved. And I think there was even a set shot that they showed him bald.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was just it felt like the scene in Dark Knight,
Right.
the party scene.
He seemed very Joker-esque. That was when Chris said it. I was like, yeah, that's exactly the thing I was thinking when I first saw the trailer. I was like, why is he playing the Joker?
Well,
You know,
even
like,
when Batman or Bruce Wayne's in there at that party, and he makes the comment about, I'm Gotham. I guess it's the Gotham in me. We have our own, we have enough of the Joker, the guys dressed up in clowns and everything. Even though it was a reference to Superman, it almost felt like it was a reference to Lex,
yeah.
because it was just that. It just.
He just seems like he's
Look,
clowning around.
When I watched it with Beth, I told her, I said, "Look, the Lex Luthor is maniacal. He's malevolent. Everything he does is very calculated.
Right.
He's one of the most intelligent men in that whole universe."
When I think of Lex Luthor, and like my favorite incarnation of Lex Luthor it goes back to my 90s TV shows of watching the Superman adventures. That Lex Luthor to me was probably one of the best ones that I felt was the best incarnation of Lex Luthor, because it was exactly like that.
Well, look at the Smallville version. The Smallville version was great. It was spot on.
But they also got a really good actor to play him too.
That's true.
Yeah,
And,
and that's
he took the role very, very seriously.
Mm-hmm.
and that's why I ditched that series as soon as he left.
Yeah. And then we go on we find out that Zod is going to be Doomsday.
Yes, and I'm just happy
Well,
me and
it's something.
Yeah.
They'll probably never refer to it as Doomsday, but
Right.
it's
It's
this idea that
it's the
Luthor
Doomsday-like
takes.
monster.
Yeah,
But me and buddy of mine, Ronald, a few months ago, like that first trailer where they wheel out the pale body of Zod, and we're like, all right, so what are we gonna do? Gonna Doomsday him? Yeah, gonna do. How are they gonna do it? Probably gonna steal Bizarro's origin for it, and basically that's what it sounds like they're doing. They're gonna experiment.
yeah.
on
It
his
sounds a lot
body.
more like Bizarro.
Yeah, but then he's gonna turn into big hulking monster who looks like Abomination from the Incredible Hulk.
No, it's
looks
the
like
cave troll from Fellowship of the Rings,
Or Kelly Cave
Looks to
Troll.
me like a Teenage Mutant Ninja
or
Turtle.
Michelangelo
or
from.
the TMNT movie. I
Just with spikes.
I got really sad when it's like, man, the Smallville Doomsday, who's a guy in a suit that they shot really, really well, looks way better than the really obviously bad CGI.
I forget who it was, if it was CBR or Screen Rant or one of those, that put a side-by-side of Doomsday and the presumably Doomsday from Batman vs. Superman. And they're like, oh my god, look how close, look how amazing that is. It's almost spot on. And I'm looking at it going,
It's not
no.
close.
It looks like a Ninja Turtle with spikes. It looks
Yeah.
like it should be the mold for Spike in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, first of all, there was a problem with that. And I can tell Beth at the end of it, look, you got potentially 3 major DC villains in this movie. You've got, that we know of, Lex Luthor. Now, if this is Doomsday. And then there's the rumor that, Jared Leto is supposed to show up as the Joker in at least one scene.
I still think that's flashback.
But it could be even a flashback scene. You have 3 major villains.
Yeah, but that you may just see him for like half a second or
And
whatever.
she's like, well, what about, why is Doomsday such a major? I'm like, Doomsday breaks Superman's back. Doomsday
Doomsday
kills Superman.
kills Superman,
I know, Bane
yeah.
breaks Batman's back, but he kills
Right.
Superman.
I was the one who killed Batman.
So Why would
Doomsday
you
is
have,
my brother.
Why would you have two of Superman's greatest villains in this movie where you're going to end up watering down both of them?
Because Spider-Man 3 made $1 billion worldwide.
But it was still a bad movie.
Doesn't matter. Still made $1 billion.
That's the thing is people are still going to go see this movie because
I was gonna make.
there's
money.
going to be a lot of people that want to see this type of movie.
Well, the
Want to see
three,
a
I know
movie
you-
with Superman and Batman. Hell, I was disappointed with this trailer. I'm still going to go see the
Yeah,
movie.
I was going to say, I know that
I
you'll
know.
go see it, Batman.
Batman
Chris-
will go see it.
Chris will go see
I'm going
it.
to go see the movie.
I'll see it. Mikey and
What about
Sebastian won't see it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna see it.
I'm out. It's because look, there's so many. I mean, there's a sea of movies coming out, and at this point, some movies just don't deserve my dollars.
Yeah.
And I
Honestly, with your opinion, I think most movies don't deserve your
that's very
dollars.
true. But it's just become
Summer
the thing where it's like, I don't
2016 is
feel-
going to suck ass for you.
I just don't feel obligated anymore to just like, well, I have to go see it. Like,
Yes, that's the difference, is
lost
that
that-
obligation thing.
Yeah, I lost that a long time ago. Where it's like, it was a point in time where it's like, I'm gonna go see every movie in the summer. It's just like, half these movies are awful.
Do you
Why-
feel obligated to go see Star Wars?
Not really. It looks good though. So
But you're going to see it.
Yeah, I would not planning originally to go see it the day of, but then somebody was like, "Hey, I got you a ticket," so I'm going now. I was gonna wait until like Tuesday at like 9 in the morning to go see
Yeah.
it when there's nobody there, but I'll probably have to do that because I'll sit in the theater. Like I remember seeing Revenge of the Sith the same night, and I couldn't hear half the movie
Yeah.
because
Ugh.
people were just like,
That's
that's Darth Sidious, like, and then people like by the end of the movie just like, oh shit. Why did we go see this movie all together on opening night? And they just walked out quiet, no clapping at the end of the film. So
Really?
it's like-
See, when I saw it, when we all saw it.
Well, why would you
everybody
clap
was
at the end of that
clapping.
film? I mean, there's not. It's
depressing.
kind of it's like you get to the end of the Empire and you go,
Not
yeah!
only is it not a good
Carbonite
movie,
and a missing
there's just
hand.
nothing about that movie that's just it's like yes,
Yeah,
yes,
it's
everything in this movie.
that's part of the problem with that. Not a problem with that film, but when you do the original, the entire original trilogies, like you're headed towards something bad. I talked about this with Eric about the Rebels, where you're like, we know where this is going.
Yeah.
So this isn't great.
I
But
just
anyway,
remember like the one like sitting next to me in the theater was a guy who loved Mace Windu, like all the expanded universe stuff. Huge Mace Windu fan, and he was like the last two weren't very good. Don't have high hopes, but Sam Jackson says he's not dying like a punk in this movie. So that's all I'm here for. It's him and his wife. We were chatting. Lovely man. And then Mace Windu dies. In his he was on the edge of his seat, and then he just slumps back, and it's awful. Like you just you could see
Stupid Sam Jackson,
you could
he
just see the
lied.
dejection in his face. Like, well, that's it. I'm done. And then movies finish, credits roll. I look over, he's gone, and I have no idea at what point he left.
What about Cap? Do you feel obligated?
No, but then again, the trailer it was an exciting trailer, and I think it sent the exact message they needed to send because they told you the story beats that were necessary to sort of get an idea about what the movie was about. But it also looked really good.
What about Deadpool?
Deadpool is definitely one of those I could wait. Will Deadpool be funny? Probably.
I think Deadpool's one of the things we have to wait and see what other people think of seeing it.
It could. It is also a movie that could just be.
Because it's in an
could go
odd spot.
Yeah,
That
it's
February
like a
opening
release,
is weird.
which has me a little concerned. But February,
Yeah.
but it's definitely a movie where we're going
But that's the thing. I think that they're doing that to play it safe because it's not around anything else.
yes,
And they know they're going to grab all that money in that.
Well,
No,
I
it's
think it
Valentine's
depends.
Day weekend.
Well, that's
though,
the
too.
thing.
Yeah,
So it
it's-
might die because of that.
it depends on what their motivation is.
Right.
Is it we think this is really good and we do not want to get it lost and everything else, or we need to put it someplace where there's nothing else because it's terrible?
It's also
Or
R-rated R.
it's because it's Deadpool and he doesn't give a fuck where he's going to be.
Right, but that's
gonna
what I'm
put it-
saying is if they're because that movie would totally get lost in the summer. You have a huge
Yeah.
summer.
Yeah.
You've got these two
Right.
big movies that trailers were talking about. You're still in that fervor of people waiting for more Star Wars or whatever. I don't think this movie would have done that well, also because it's rated R.
right.
But putting it all the way in February, this is our spot. This is our time. Anyone who's going to go see this movie is going to go see this movie anyway. That's here.
Right.
What you're trying to get is that audience that goes, "Hey, we need a movie to go see. What do we go see?" How many people in February are going out to go, "Hey, we need a movie," outside of Valentine's Day weekend, which is great, but that's usually, "Hey, I want to get laid, so hey, baby, what do you
Well,
want to see?"
No, yeah, that's the problem
Where's
with
the
that weekend.
50 Shades of Grey? You know, that's
Well,
Yeah.
for me.
Did you see the 50 Shades of Black trailer? That's hilarious.
Yeah,
Okay, whatever.
I don't know, but it's also like seeing movies like the first day of release for me has also become like for me the movie going experience, like I've always liked really really quiet environments because I actually want to watch a movie. Like I'm paying for it. I want to sit down in a theater with really good sound and really good picture, and I just want to take in a movie.
Right.
It's
So
very
are there
interesting
any-
conversations
are
with
there
people that
any
work
of-
like that. They're like, no, you have to go on because the audience and the fervor and the
No.
aura. And I'm like, yeah, maybe 30 years ago when people were really respectful of what a theater experience was, laughing
right.
at appropriate moments, cheering at appropriate moments, being excited when a surprise character comes on. I remember when I went to see the second Pirates movie, and the crowd was into it, and it was fun, and it was cool. And the very end, when Barbossa shows up, everybody went crazy right at the right time, and everybody was really quiet before that scene at the end when they're in the shack in the swamp. No one was talking over it. No one
Everybody was
like,
sad that Jack was gone.
Oh, he's not dead. No, he's not dead. Oh, dude, everyone was just kind of listening to the dialogue and everything. And then when Barbossa comes down the stairs, let's go get my ship or whatever. Like everybody went crazy, and it was a great. That's not here anymore.
No,
the few
but the
movies
main-
that we've
it's
gone
also-
to
it's
see,
also a
those
crapshoot
opening days
for what you're gonna get.
are absolutely stupid.
But one of the main reasons is because now everybody is getting the full movie ahead of time. They're getting it in the
Oh
trailers.
no, the reason
They're getting all
is the reason
spoilers.
is people suck ass. Most people watch these movies at home now and they talk over the whole fucking thing. And when they go to a theater, they don't realize they're in another
Well,
environment.
then it's also
and they
their
don't
attention
care.
span. It's the same thing we were talking about last
No,
night with.
it's not even
when we're
attention
wa-
span.
Even when we're
It's not
watching
attention
something.
span. It's they don't care. I'm here. I'm with my friends. I could give a flying fuck who else is in here. I'm talking to my friends. The
Right.
number of people that I used to tell to shut up, who just realized, okay, I'm acting inappropriately, is now the number of people that look at me like, hey, fuck you for saying that I'm not allowed to talk to my friends in the middle of a film.
Yeah.
Like, no, you're wrong for telling me that I'm talking to my friends, and I can't stand it. It's just unbelievable. We're going Friday night because we didn't get tickets for Thursday, the true opening day, and I'm already like telling the person I'm going with, I'm like, let's plan on going another day also because we're never going to be able to see what we're,
That's why I'm planning on seeing it.
Right.
Friday night, the day school lets out
yeah.
for winter break.
Yeah, that's why we go Friday morning.
We should go different. Yeah, I mean
yeah.
that's why we went to Avengers Friday morning. I took the morning off, and Mike and I went to see Avengers Friday morning.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I had Friday off when Spectre opened. That was cool. So I'm like, oh, we can go see it there. So I don't know.
So Batman's versus Superman. Yeah, it's just. I was
Well, one of the-
excited. I wanted this movie to be good.
It was
but-
never going to be good because they decided to let Zack Snyder do it. The thing with the trailer that's odd is it actually saw a decline in the number of people that saw it versus the trailer beforehand. What was it? Batman vs. Superman's first 24 hours only saw 23 million views, which is 7 million less than the first Dawn of Justice full teaser. That compared to the other one we're going to talk about, which is the Captain America Civil War trailer, which had 60
It's like
something?
61 or
61 million. Now here's the weird thing is
But I wonder if like the actual film Dawn of Justice aside, the trailers have been getting just progressively worse. Like for as little as I believe I'm going to dislike this movie, at least the first trailer was pretty well cut together.
Right.
They kept everything for the most part. Like it's like okay, there's going to be a fight. We all know that the hero's going to fight before they get together. You got a little bit of a slightly intimidating Lex Luthor.
Right.
Apart from the little bit of silliness that they saved for the very end of him, that apparently is now far larger. But still, it was at least a very well-cut trailer, and I could see it getting a lot of people ramped up because it's Batman and Superman.
Right.
it made you think twice. If
It's the
you're like,
first
maybe I
time
would.
that Batman and Superman are on the screen
Yeah.
together.
And then you get to trailer 2, and you're like, I don't know. And then trailer 3 is like, this is not good. And
The
this-
way it
this
was
movie,
cut-
the movie, this has represented the movie in a way it's like, this movie just does not look good. Because
No.
as much as everybody sort of likes to go, it's like, yeah, you got to wait and see it. People are pretty good about sniffing out which movies are good and which are bad just by the trailers alone.
Well, that's
the
what the
point of the
trailer. A
Well,
trailer,
then-
yeah.
You're giving away too much in the trailer. Of course, people are going to be like, "Well, I really
Well, it's the
feel
thing,
like
yeah,
I see it."
if a trailer that is that long is that bad,
Mhm.
8 times out of 10, that movie's going to
Yeah,
be
and
bad.
it's not like the trailer was
And
cut
I-
together poorly. So it's like, no, these scenes were
Well,
terrible.
there was.
And
A,
like,
I
I
mean,
can
the way that
guarantee-
the introduction of Wonder Woman, the way that was
Weird.
cut was really.
It was really
odd.
weird, but still, the scenes contained within the trailer, regardless of context, like that just looks bad and poorly acted. I mean,
But that's the
they're
thing.
calling Jesse Eisenberg Jar Jar Luther now on the internet, and that says a lot. When you basically, it's like, well,
I would
he's
watch that movie.
He's Jar Jar now. Too bad, DC.
You
Sorry,
are Superman.
it's
Misa
over.
gonna stop you.
Jar Jar has become the staple of the bad character in all movies now.
Right?
Yes.
Apparently, yeah. Because
If you get called Jar Jar Binks, then you are the bad character.
Yeah, because
in
the
that movie.
generation who watched Phantom Menace and have grown up to realize it's terrible are now like, well, Jar Jar is the barometer for bad characters, just like how Nuke the Fridge became the barometer for when a movie jumps the shark.
Yes.
No.
Okay, Ethan, what were you trying to say that we kept cutting
I
you
can
off?
say I guarantee the only reason that they included what Doomsday or whatever, if it's not going to be
Doomzaro.
Doomzaro is to only introduce Wonder Woman into that trailer, and I felt like that was so unnecessary to do that, and it just takes away so much of the thing, like what Chris was talking about. It was like if you saw that on the screen, like if they just showed Michael Shannon in the body bag or whatever, and then pulling away. It's like, oh, what are they doing with Zod? What is this, that? But then they're like, oh, well, we got to show this guy, Doomsday, like blowing up everybody, and then all of a sudden that's the reveal for Wonder Woman because we need to show Wonder Woman into this trailer. But they could have done it in a different way. They could have shown her in some other part of the movie. It's like, keep this part a secret. Like, I was so disappointed knowing what this villain was going to be, like who they were planning on being was going to be the villain.
Because the problem with this trailer is it answers too many of your questions. One of the fun that we had when the movie was first announced in the first trailer was and they're like, oh, Aquaman's in it and Wonder Woman's in it. And we were discussing, like, I think it's Bruce Wayne hires a whole bunch of heroes to stop Superman. Or, no, it's Lex manipulates everybody else and all of this is... And now we know exactly what the film is.
Mm-hmm.
Lex takes Michael Shannon's body and turns him into Doomzaro, and Batman tries to kill Superman because of the destruction of Metropolis, because he wants to hold him accountable
and
for what he's doing. I mean,
Superman thinks that Batman is the bad guy.
That's the thing, is that both of them are villains to each other for much longer than I think we all thought it was going to be. The reaction to the trailer, the two reactions that I got that I think say a lot is my friend Kenny, who said, the more I see, the less I like.
Uh-huh.
And then my friend Morgan, who said the trailer for Sucker Punch 2 is really confusing, which I just was brilliant.
Like,
It's not the choices are... The choices are the choices. I really wish Warner Brothers could go back in time and make
it's
them.
for me, they're fascinating choices because I'm like, this is real. Like I like because like the DC movies are so schizophrenic, and even though they're not all connected necessarily, but just like tonally,
they're all from the same studio. So the head
Green
head
Lantern
person
to Dark Knight to Jonah Hex to Man of Steel, like just the like. I feel like there's a bipolar person going, and this one's going to be the funny one, and this one's going to be the super serious one.
The problem I see with this film is the same thing I see with almost every DC film that they've done. Taking the Dark Knight aside, but even to the Dark Knight to a little bit.
But when you get to Dark Knight Rises, which is just like a movie that feels like it was made just for the sake of like, well, I have to make another one.
But even if you go back to even Batman Begins and Batman, Forever, DC has this tendency, DC / Warner Brothers, I should say, of throwing too much in at one time. They're not giving when you even going back to, like I said, the Dark Knight, you have the Joker and you have Two-Face in there.
Yeah, and Two-Face is just B story by the end of it.
Correct.
And he's very well handled. He's got to be in the movie for maybe 20 minutes.
Not even. I wouldn't even think that. But so I get now that they're going, well, wait a minute, we need to catch up to Marvel. Marvel's already got a couple Avengers movies under the belts. They've already had their team ups and everything.
I don't think it's necessarily a sense of catch up. It's a sense of we need to make movies and we need to make them quickly. And not has nothing to do with Marvel. But I don't even think it's characters. I think it's again, you have people that are connected to this film who seem to think if we take the entire house and we throw it all in a blender and we mix it up and then we throw it on screen, people are going to love it. You have people that have already proven to you that excess is their
downfall.
Not even their downfall. That's their joy.
Yes.
Zack Snyder, excess is his joy. 300. 300 is extremely excessive. Sucker Punch is extremely excessive. It's just a whole bunch of stuff. Look at all this. Everything's happening and all this stuff's going on. And look at the pretty women and the guts and the everything. Watchmen. He took a story that is very complex, but is subtle in the middle of it and turned it into a fight sequence.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they hired.
Right.
This is who they hired. You go back and now look at Man of Steel and go, that's the subtlest Zack Snyder movie, and it still has 3 villains in it.
Yes.
And it's still shot in a way and cut in a way in which it's like, okay, here and then here and then here. I'm just trying to throw stuff at you. I'm trying to do all this stuff with you. The only person they've ever hired who has any sort of, I'm just going to let the story play out the way it is Christopher Nolan.
Which he's supposed to be the backbone of all this.
But he's not.
No, he only did it for Man of Steel. He stopped after that.
Yeah.
He's done.
That's the problem.
That was
Is
his
the people.
last work for
What I'm
the
talking
DC
about
stuff.
fascinating in choices is the fascinating choices to me is who Time Warner hires to do their movies.
Sure.
That's what's fascinating to me is you took your most important thing. You said from the start, once Christopher Nolan's Batman was done, Man of Steel is the tent pole.
Yeah, we have to get
Look
Superman
at
right.
what Marvel did. Marvel went and hired a director who had absolutely no action film experience at all.
Mhm.
His biggest success was Elf.
Yeah.
But in trying to find people who did it, their talent scouting, their casting directors, their producers, the people that hired the other people seem to really do their homework where DC, it feels like Time Warner opened up Variety
Yeah.
and said, oh, Sucker Punch made a lot of money. I don't know why. But
Well, he
I'm
did-
just wondering who in DC went and saw Sucker Punch and Watchmen and went, that's the guy from Man of Steel.
But Watchmen,
That's the one we
Watchmen's
want.
DC, so
Who cares?
But Watchmen
But that's what I'm
was
saying.
Also, a movie that was not beloved.
No.
It made money.
Who in DC watches that film in Watchmen and says, this is the guy we need for the most
but it's not
important
DC,
thing.
it's Warner Brothers.
Whatever.
Right.
It's-
But
it's
when
all
you,
about
but
the
even you
money,
look at
though.
like
Interchange DC and Warner
Warner-
Brothers for me. The people that make those decisions
DC
versus Marvel
Entertainment,
Films
Warner
that
Brothers.
when they got to Avengers said, we have to find someone who can really do this, and they made sure that they got Josh Whedon.
Mm-hmm.
Like with someone who's had success, he's loved by nerds. We
Someone
think
who
he can
knows how to
handle
write
this sort of
ensemble.
thing. He can write an ensemble. He can write a successful ensemble, whether it's going to be gangbusters, but he can do it. It's not going to fail,
Right.
and it didn't. John Favreau. Look at the people that they hired for these things.
Uh-huh.
They went out and found. We're doing Thor. Okay, who do you want to write Thor? Kenneth Branagh. All right,
Yeah.
let's call him. What? I mean, that's so many choices in there.
James
Like,
Gunn was a great choice. The Russo brothers. I mean,
not even just that, but also with people like, who do we want playing the head of the Nova Corps? Glenn Close.
Yeah.
Hey, Glenn, you want to do? Yeah, you want to do a Marvel movie? Sure. That's the sort of thing that you're feeling with them. Is they're
Robert
willing to
Redford.
make bold
that was
choices.
the next one I was going to say.
Robert Redford, having the Russo brothers. Russo brothers did a comedy about 2 guys who were connected to each other,
Yeah.
and they're like,
It's like-
I've got an idea. Do our action picture.
Hey, Robert,
I
you want to
really,
be a
I'd love,
villain?
I'd love to see what Warner Brothers out of the box choices would have been to do Man of Steel.
Do you think it would be different if Warner Brothers allowed DC to act independently
No.
without putting in?
One, they never do it because it's just they're so connected.
Right.
They're so much more connected because
Right.
they've never existed as separate entities for so long.
Correct.
Warner Brothers has owned DC for the longest time, and let's face it, DC has a lot of media in the past. They've done a ton of Batman movies before this. They've have a lot of TV
They
shows.
have
They have a lot of
successful TV shows.
animated series and stuff like that. Well, look who runs the TV series.
That's true.
They went and found really good people to run
yeah, they
TV
did
series.
Bruce Timm for longest time.
Yeah.
Find
And
someone
even
like Bruce
now,
Timm,
his
and they're just like, here
proteges
you
are the
go.
ones who've
Look,
taken over
mhm.
for all the animated series.
I said this last night also, and one of the things that really worries me about this is that when we finally get to a Justice League movie, seeing all these heroes on the screen together is not going to matter.
It's not impressive anymore because
What-
you've already done 3 of them fighting Doomsday.
Uh-huh. To me, as
Or maybe
Chris, when
4.
when we first started talking about this years, a couple of years ago now.
Well, that's the other. I'm going to interrupt you with this problem. We've waited too long for this movie to be this bad.
Yes.
Because if they're going to make this movie, if they're going to push the movie back an entire year, and they announced it a year and a half before that, I mean, I saw on my Facebook page like 4 years ago or whatever the hell it was when they first announced Batman, Affleck playing Batman like 3 years ago, and I'm like, holy crap!
Yeah.
That was 3 years ago
Well, you
that we
remember
all
they-
lost our minds.
They
But
showed the
to
symbol
wait
at
this
Comic-Con
long,
4
to
years
wait
ago.
this long, and have it be so bad, it's almost a sense of you gave them way too much rope. You just kept giving them rope
Yeah.
and more time. And, well, let's just keep tinkering this. What I said with Man of Steel, it felt like Man of Steel got to the end, and they're like, "Hey, we still have $20 million in the budget. Let's do Krypton.
Yeah.
Let's just do the whole sequence, and let's do the first 40 minutes on Krypton. Just him running around on Krypton. Let's just go for it.
Make
Let's
look
just
like
go
Ray
for it.
Avatar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So,
But yeah, no-
Shauna, who is not here, but has a statement to make on the movie.
She was livid on Friday.
She's not.
Oh,
very
she had
happy.
one of my favorite ones too.
Yeah, so she has
Her
said,
first reaction was, "DC, you're drunk."
yes.
Yeah.
So here we go. Shauna quote: "It should be said that I hated Dawn of Justice before watching the shitstorm of a trailer, Wonder Woman's casting and costume, as well as the let's make everything Dark Knight because that's all everybody ever to exist will ever like about our movies. Attitude turned me way the fuck off a long ass time ago. Judging by this trailer, we are in for another DC no fun allowed film because no superhero film that ever had fun was popular." Sarcasm. "Everything looks dull. I hate this version of Lex Luthor already. Wonder Woman should have had her own movie by now. Doomsday looks like a computer-generated shit and should have been reserved for another Superman flick. And why, oh why, did they condense the whole goddamn movie into this trailer and leave almost nothing to the imagination? God damn it. Batfleck Sexy Stubble is the one glimmer of hope in this movie, but it's just not enough. It's just not goddamn enough."
I want that because I want to put that as a review on the website.
Fine, I'll
love
send
her.
it to you.
Well, let's
Um,
also
That's
again.
what she has
Let's
to say.
stop one
And
other
she
thing.
was very upset about it because she's like, again, she loves characters like Wonder Woman,
Uh-huh.
and yes, why hasn't Wonder Woman gotten? I mean, just the ridiculous of the TV show they tried a couple years ago, just the absurdity of that show, just basically being Ally McBeal with Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
You know, and even the Wonder Woman movie that they basically like, you want to hear the pitch for Wonder Woman? It included a talking tiger as part of it, and just like,
Tony Tiger.
really,
They're
really,
great.
really.
Well, I love the fact that the one thing that everybody freaked out about a few years ago is Ben Affleck playing Batman, and two, the idea that they would dare allow him to direct Justice League.
Right.
I would have loved to seen what Ben Affleck as a director and producer would have done with
For
this
this?
film.
Yes, especially because, like, look, I do remember when everyone was freaking out. It's like, guys, have you not seen The Town and Argo? They're great. And
Town,
Like,
Argo.
I freaked out. What I said about Ben Affleck was that if he is directing the film and writing it, he is an amazing actor because it doesn't have to focus mainly on him. When he is the focal point of the project, that's where you see some of his faults.
Did you see The Town?
Yes. Yeah, I love it.
Okay. You realize he's the focal point of that.
he's the star of the movie.
But but you still have Jeremy Renner and everybody
But
else.
he's-
And the
He's-
same with Argo.
He's the focal
he's
point
the
of
main
that film.
character in Argo
Look,
as well.
I loved both of those movies, and I admit it, I am wrong. The best thing that I
It's
saw
time
in this
to admit
trailer-
the fact that Ben Affleck is brilliant.
He's got he has
he's not-
grown
He is
into being a good actor.
he is a brilliant movie. Not even just an actor. He is a brilliant movie maker.
Yes.
He is a brilliant movie maker.
I-
He is a good writer. He's a good
Well, we always
assembler
knew he was a good writer.
And
but
and
he's-
not the
he's
same
good at
guy he was from,
assembling
like, a
talent.
decade ago.
He's good at directing, and he's good at acting,
Mm-hmm.
and he does all of that to a level enough to transcend being just, hey, this is a good movie, to being something. The Town is a heist film I've seen 5 times.
Yeah.
But it's just a heist film.
Right.
I haven't seen Ocean's 11 5 times. I just love that movie. There's something about it.
Look, I admit it. I
You
admit it.
also
I
have to
was
you also have to
wrong.
look at something like Daredevil. It's like he's not
that
the
was-
problem with
that's
the
like
movie
I know.
Daredevil. And that everyone's like, oh, Daredevil was terrible. It's like yeah, Daredevil
I'll tell you,
was
I would
terrible.
take a Batman Daredevil or a Ben Affleck Daredevil now. I would love to see him direct and act in a Daredevil film right
I'd
now.
like to see him give it a shot
That'd be
because he
it'd be
knows the
awesome.
mistakes that were made with that first movie.
Yeah.
No,
but,
and it's
but
just
still, it's like even then, it's like he was not the problem with that movie.
no.
No, and you know what? And to be honest, I've seen Daredevil probably about 5 or 6 times. I mean, okay, that's not saying much.
That's
I know
about
that's
4
not
or 5
right.
times too much.
You
That's
went
not-
to see Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
No, I didn't go to see it. I
That's
saw
right,
it
yeah.
here.
You bought it.
No, I didn't buy it. God, no.
It's on like Netflix and Hulu. It's everywhere. They're trying to get their money back
Yeah.
on that movie.
No, but Ben Affleck was the shining point. He looked
Because he's the
looked
only
like
good
Bruce
actor
Wayne.
in that movie.
Felt-
Jesse
He looks.
Eisenberg just sort of
He's a
fell
good
apart.
Bruce Wayne, and like I said, when people were freaking out, like he's too old, I said it just depends on how they write the character,
Right.
and they wrote the character as if Batman had stopped being Batman for 5 or 6 years, and he's an older Batman, and I love it. I thought it would
The
have been
only
great.
thing that I've noticed out of this trailer that I don't like about Ben Affleck's Batman is he's really trying to do like the Batman voice out of it.
See, I don't
He's
think he
really
is.
trying to get her.
I don't think he's doing that at all.
I think so. I think he's really
will say
trying to
that
push.
I
it.
didn't care for it, but it was still better than Christian Bale's. I still don't know why they just don't get somebody to
I-
dub over Batman.
That's
for
the
these
thing. I like.
movies.
I'm like Christian Bale's more than I like the Ben Affleck. one.
I got the Christian Bale part, and I'm perfectly fine with his Batman voice. I thought Ben Affleck's voice was better. The inflection is a little different, and it seems like he's kind of more mechanical. He tries to. It almost seems like instead of just changing the voice, he seems to remove some of the emotion
Well, what
out
it-
of it. I mean, he's playing it.
I caught that.
That was it to me. Like I liked his voice as
What I
Batman.
ended up thinking about is what he's doing is maybe he's got some sort of voice changer in the suit.
Well, that's what
And it's-
that's what Christopher Nolan's Batman is. I mean, that's what the bottom of the carpus is. It's
Is
a
it?
voice changer. Yeah, that's the whole point.
Oh, I thought he didn't.
Well, Mikey, you had
It's
some
changing.
points about you didn't like the. Was it
Anything?
you that didn't like the
Didn't like anything.
the exosuit or the something or other with Batman?
Oh, the
Yeah,
big
I
the.
didn't like the exosuit.
There you go.
Well, that's pretty much it about Batman.
That's it.
I mean, it's fine. I didn't
Oh,
like
liked
Wonder
the
Woman.
suit. The suit was nice.
I thought it was wrong.
No, the
It's the wrong
site,
choice
the
for me
suit,
for
this,
Wonder Woman,
this, that stuff was fine. Let's skip this. Let's go to the Captain America Civil War trailer.
Well, the one thing I wanted to say though is when
'Cause
we
we're already
fir-
at 40 minutes.
right
I
we,
need
when
to
we
go.
first started talking about this, Chris had made the comment that they should have started with a Justice League movie and then branch out to the
Yeah,
individual
because you
movies.
could have done.
Well, I
small
don't know.
story
Should
beats.
I think, that, especially in hindsight being 2020, it would be a much better, choice. But my fear was we talked about this when we first started talking about the fact that we were going to get a Justice League movie sooner rather than later. My fear was that a Justice League movie was going to be 5 20-minute origins and then a 40-minute fight sequence, and that was going to be the end of it.
Right.
Because executives don't trust audiences to understand that 99% of this world knows who the hell Batman is.
Yeah.
At least people that are going to go to the movies. Yes, small kids in Sudan probably don't know who Batman is, but they're also not going down to the Googleplex to go see, oh, look, Batman.
They're just getting T-shirts from these movies that
yeah.
fail, and they're going.
No, they're just getting like, I didn't know the Bills won so many Super Bowls. If they had just done the movie, if they'd done a Justice League movie, screw all the origins because you don't need them. The important thing is how those characters interact
You
with each
introduce
other
one
as
character.
they exist on their own. The easy thing is to do what Morrison did, which is he used the Wally West and the Kyle Rayner Flash and Green Lantern, respectively, as the entry points for the reader into this pantheon of gods
Right.
of his 7-member Justice League team of these guys who had these wide eyes going, how does this work? This is crazy. This is nuts.
Yeah.
Look, that's Superman. That's Batman. That's Wonder Woman. That's Aquaman. And I always thought he was a jerk, and now I know why, because he rules 3/4 of the planet. This is Martian Manhunter. He's reading my mind. This is not that he did this great. That's how the audience got into it.
Right.
And the characterization was in with within the plot of the stories. The Batman that you're reading now, a lot of that had to do with Morrison, the way Morrison wrote Batman in JLA.
Yes.
I can figure everything out. I'm the most powerful member of the JLA sort of thing. I mean, there was so much that could have been there, and it could have been just a great movie of Darkseid's coming to Earth, and he's going to blow it up, and these guys stop it. And then you do whatever films you're going to do, and you can knock your origins into it. What does Batman do when the Justice League isn't there? What does Wonder Woman do when she's on her island? What does Superman do when he's in the Fortress of Solitude? That could have been the way to go. And instead, they're like, well, we're not going to do one Superman movie, which underperforms like crazy. We throw out the idea of Superman 2 and say, well, we got to get Batman in there now instead of saving Batman.
Do you think they
For a
should
long
have?
time.
Do you think that Batman versus Superman should have been closer to the Dark Knight Returns and just left it at that story?
No,
No,
it just
even that feels like that. Even that feels too soon because, like, again, like the idea of like, sure, Superman has killed millions of people and he wrecked an entire city, but still, like, the buy into Batman being wary of him and Lex Luthor being wary of him are good enough. Like, okay, that's
Right.
an easy buy, but then
that's what I thought the story was at the
Yeah,
first. Was
yeah.
Do you
Lex,
think-
Lex uses Bruce Wayne's skepticism of Clark or Superman and his power to try and kill him. He
Right.
convinces Bruce it's dangerous, and this is what makes Lex a great villain. Is he has the ability to convince people this guy can crack our planet in half.
Right.
Go to Marvel. This is the interesting thread we talked about, last week or the week before. The thread in Phase 2 is this idea of Nick Fury going, dude,
Yeah.
there's a god on my planet with a hammer. There's a dude with a suit that can stop an army alone. What am I supposed to do?
Right.
That's sort of here. If Lex is presented as that kind of person that says no one should hold this much power, except me, I have to find a way to stop him. And then the whole Bizarro thing that they've had now is, I created Bizarro because I'm willing to do whatever it takes to stop Superman, and then I'll figure out what to do after.
Right.
It's we used the snakes to exterminate all the rodents. Well, now you're overrun with snakes. That's okay. Well, we'll get birds to eat all the snakes.
Yeah.
Now you're overrun with birds. Like, well, we'll just keep going until we
go
figure
get
something out.
The gorillas. And
Yeah, then we get the
die during
gorillas. Yeah.
winter. They'll die during winter. But that's the thing though, is like, but then like the way they've presented the movie is that like the world seems to love this guy, and that's when they sort of lose me. Is like there's really no reason that anyone should be erecting statues to Superman,
Especially at the end of Superman.
That's
what he
the
did.
problem. Is they don't.
Nobody should be kneeling before him as a savior after what he did to Metropolis.
Right.
It's one of those things it's like there's no dichotomy here. Lex is clearly in the right, and that's the thing about Lex Luthor's character is that like. Lex
Well,
Luthor
really,
has
Lex's motivation is Bruce's.
Right, and that's the thing is
Yes.
Lex is a character though, especially when you look at like Lex Luthor, Man of Steel by Brian Azzarello. It's like he has very justifiable fears, but he's wrong, and that's the takeaway. Is like
He's wrong because Superman
is just so like
perfect,
so inherently good and good natured because of things like his upbringing.
But you don't see that in this Man of
That's
Steel.
the problem.
It's not,
It's the
because
problem
he's a
with Man of
character who-
Steel. That's the problem
it's
with the first
He's
film.
a character who let his dad die for a ridiculous notion of preserving secret. A guy who they've already shown can basically run super fast and have just dragged his dad to the other end of town.
Right.
And it's like, but
Say,
now-
I'll pick you up later.
yeah, exactly. It's like, I'll go get you later. It's like you can just like, oh, the tornado. Like, I didn't get sucked in. I just got winged off into a tree somewhere, and they found me later. Whatever.
Or
Just,
really,
like, some
damn the
dumb
consequences.
excuse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because he's already saved the.
Yeah.
If Man of Steel was a movie that was directed by someone who had hope of life, it would have been fantastic. I've always said the thing with Clark, you can't.
Zack Snyder Snikey
Yeah.
is all in Man of Steel. Just like, no, everything is death and
Everything is
destruction and
terrible,
giant
and no,
robots.
even if you had someone who was as good as Superman, he'd still make all these mistakes. One of the things with I've always said with writing Superman is Clark always has to make the right choice,
Yes.
and he always has to be perfect, and that's what makes him so wonderful.
Right. And he has
The
to make the
reason,
right
the
choice, even
only
if it's the
reason
hard
that
choice.
Lex is wrong in the comic books is because we, as a reader, know who Clark is, and we know that Clark is not going to just wake up one morning and go, you know what, Lois, I got in a fight with Lois this morning. The planet's done. I've just destroyed the entire planet. He's never going to do
Lois
that.
dumped me.
Yeah, and that's the thing. The one of my favorite Lex stories is when he's president, and this is back in 2000, and the World at
Pre-52
Wars.
even.
Yeah, way pre-New 52. In the World at Wars, when Darkseid is bringing the war planet to destroy the Earth, and Lex has to tell Clark, "You're the only one who can stop this," and I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I'm wrong. You have to be. I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad you have the power to stop this. Please go stop this. And then afterwards, I'm going to try and kill you. But
Do you think this movie would be more interesting if it was Superman 2 and you have the introduction of Bruce Wayne, but not Batman?
The only way to make this movie more interesting is if the people that made it weren't the people that made it.
Yeah?
I agree with this.
Oh yeah.
I agree with that.
And now you've put yourself in a hole where you've handed Time Warner has handed the keys to their entire kingdom to Zack Snyder.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, because the first film sets up the whole thing.
Right. It's all, and that's the thing is Zack Snyder has even made statements very clear, like, what if it was real? I want to show the destruction that these people, essentially gods, would have on the planet. It's like, it's not. Then it's no longer escapism. Now it's just.
It's just interesting that DC's films seem to do what Marvel did in the '60s, which is make superheroes more realistic.
Right, and even then, but even with Marvel in the '60s, having more down to earth, more realistic characters. They were still not powered enough to
Right.
completely wreck a city. Superman has always been able to wreck a city, but they've always took the care to show, like, if he flies through a building and it starts to fall, he stops his fight because those people are important.
Right.
And in Man of Steel, it's just him flying through skyscrapers with people still inside, or
Yeah.
him dodging a gasoline truck with people
Yeah, no
behind
no
him.
attempt to
Because it
remove
looks
the
cool.
flight. Yeah,
Right.
No
Because it
no
looks
attempt to
cool for
remove the
him
fight
to-
from the thing.
Right.
It was let's go for the cool shot instead
he
of
punches Zod up into space, and instead of continuing the fight to space, he flies
Yeah.
up super fast and then punches him
Punches him
back
back down.
to
Yeah.
Earth.
Instead of just taking
let's
him
go fight
into
in a desert. Let's go take this fight.
to the moon.
Yeah, let's go
Superman
take this fight to the
4.
moon. Like, oh, you guys stay
He
here
fights
and
Nuke
deal
on
with
the
all the
moon.
superpowered Kryptonians who you can't kill with your guns while I go to the Indian Ocean to deal with the machine. No, how about the military blows up the machine while I go fight all the Kryptonians in the city?
But the other problem is they pointed out you don't need to stop the machine first. If you had
Right.
stopped the Kryptonian ship,
They
the
wouldn't-
machine is worthless.
Right. Or,
It just
you know,
doesn't.
like-
It's not written well at all.
halfway through the film when he finds out that he could put them all in the Phantom Zone, right before they get to Earth, and then chooses not to do it. It's like, oh, the Phantom Zone emitted. It's like, oh, you could have stopped this fight even before it started, but you chose not to.
Look, here's the thing. Marvel, when they first started the whole thing out, they said, you know what, we're going to do Iron Man.
And we'll see how it goes.
We'll see how it goes. We're not going to take Captain America, one of our characters, and put that in as our first film. We need to start with something.
They started with Iron Man. Why? Because if we fuck it up, it's not the end of the world.
Exactly.
It was Iron at the time. It was Iron Man, a
Yeah.
B-level hero. Like, I have a huge love for pre-New 52 DC comics, and it's like, and for me, it's heart-rending to see, like, I don't want kids to think of Superman as this dreary, sad sack who just
Right.
flies through buildings. And
But see, and that's almost to the point where I was going to make is with Iron Man was a B character. Most people nowadays don't realize
the only
that.
version of Iron Man they got is who they understand is the Tony Stark from the movie Iron Man, who is a fun-loving guy. They could have gone. Like, I do wish they would have done things like like tackle his alcoholism, which they kind of did.
There was a hint of
There
it.
was a hint of it in Iron Man 2, but they've also said
He's not an alcoholic. He just drinks a lot.
But
but they also said, like, Hancock beat us to it, and
Yeah.
there was nothing we could do.
right.
And it's like, okay,
Look, when
I
you're afraid of
understand.
Hancock, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
But even the point of that character who we all know as a B character is now
Is
an
now
A
An
character.
A-lister.
Yeah, because of what was done with
For
the
the
film.
movie, but then you have Superman who's like this is a dreary film. It's a like the plot holes and it's just a joyless movie. It is a
Yes.
movie, like, say what you will about the cheesiness of the 70s movie. It is a movie that is in its end is like just very good natured. And I'm not going to use the word innocent because it's corny. It's a good natured film,
Right.
about a guy who just wants to help people.
Right.
Right.
Who strikes tragedy like it's Superman and. Like
When you get to the end of Man of Steel, you don't feel like the good guys win.
no, you
Exactly.
don't, because they didn't. When you
Exactly.
look at it completely like World War II bombed out city, and there's
And the fact that the military's watching him and they don't
you
trust
go, like,
him.
and that's the thing is they try to make it like it's like, oh, Superman's being tough here. He dragged their satellite from space. Yeah, you show that government. It's like no,
that is
there-
every reason to be.
he has
totally
every
scared of.
reason to have to be tracked.
Right.
There is no there's no sticking it to the man here. Superman is literally the man, and he has wrecked your city. Why people decided to move back afterwards, I have no idea.
It's Marvel's New York. Like, why do you live in
Why
New
do
York?
yeah, exactly. Why do you?
It's
live
been
here?
invaded by the Skrulls 5 times. Like, just stop. Move out of New York already.
But when you look at when you take now Cap 3 and you put it with Batman versus Superman, which they're both essentially, in single films. They're not major team up films.
Right.
But they both have a lot of characters in them.
Yes.
When you look at their trailers, you don't get the feeling of complete kinetic chaos like you have in
Because you've been
Dark
introduced to
Knight,
almost all
or
of
in
those
Dark
characters.
Knight,
You know the
in
characters.
Batman versus Superman.
But the Civil War trailer, like, there were some people who they didn't like my friend Travis. He was kind of like, didn't do much for me, but I kind of get what they're going for, which is fair enough. But the trailer was at least very well edited. They told you exactly what the story is without giving too much away. Because it's Civil War. We know the heroes are going to fight each other.
Yes.
And that's sort of the there's not much hiding it, especially because it's one of the biggest stories of the last decade in comics. That
And you still
everybody
don't
and
know
their mother-
completely the reasoning.
Right. What's the reasoning? What the stakes?
Is it a
are.
registration act? Is it a government control? Like
Yes.
when we first started talking about when we didn't think Spider-Man was going to be available, we said that the idea was going to be who runs the Avengers.
Right.
Tony wants to turn control over the Avengers to the United Nations, and Cap's like, no, we have to be an independent
Right.
entity
And it's
to be able to act where we are. Yeah, and that's a big part of it.
And we're getting a good ensemble cast. We're getting introduced to Black Panther. And that's the thing is at least with the Russo brothers and they're at least with the Winter Soldier movie is that they're very calculating.
Yes.
Winter Soldier is a movie that a lot of people go like, well, the ending was kind of weak, but it's it's a generic ticking clock ending. It's whatever, but it was still a solid ending
Right.
and a solid movie throughout. and it's very targeted. Every scene does not overstay its welcome. There's at no point during Winter Soldier did I go, this movie's still going on.
Why are they still fighting? Or
Yeah, exactly. No,
The slow scenes are wonderfully slow.
Yeah.
The fast scenes are wonderfully
yeah,
fast.
and the
action
exposition
is amazing.
scenes are really well.
There's no slow motion shots. Yay.
Yeah, like
the pacing of it was great. Yeah, it was great.
It was really well paced. Like, I mean, like for me, like the biggest surprise of the movie is like they managed to hold back Arnim Zola as a robot and doing like as close to the comic book version as you could possibly do without throwing
With the nods in there without making it look too stupid. And yeah, the
I just remember when they go into the base, like it's like how the computer
and
kinda
they
looks like
marketed it
Zola.
really well too, because you realize when you go back and watch the trailer, you see part of the fight in the elevator,
right.
Yes.
but you don't see that it's Crossbones.
Right.
So when you first see that character, and someone like me that didn't know who that character was, didn't realize what Crossbones' real name was, or didn't put the two and two together, it was just like, oh, it's just his squad leader. It's no big deal.
Even putting his name in there, they did a good job of keeping that ambiguous. You really, unless you kind of started putting the pieces together, until the very end after Falcon and he have the fight,
Right.
and he you see the very end where you see the cross section on his clothes.
But even the thing with it, like I said, having it marketed the way that it was and not giving away too much. Once he gets in the elevator, now you already know the story that S.H.I.E.L.D. is trying to stop him or
Right.
wants to arrest him, and you're like, oh, there's some bad shit's about to go down.
Yeah, that
And they have all
was
those
the great
great
thing, is
scenes.
the way that was
And
cut.
everything that slows, it's got a lot of emotion in it. And I mean, also for me, you finally get Cap.
Right.
Yeah.
You get the Cap that you've wanted. That really, they've basically said, in the time between Avengers and now, you haven't seen what he's been doing, but he's established himself as that Captain America that you love. And
He doesn't understand the modern world enough still, and he's like,
yeah,
all
but
this
he's not.
technology is
He's
still
not
scary
the. He's
to
not the
him.
Whedon Cap. He's not the Joe Johnston Cap of the G. Willikers sort of thing. It's the Cap that looks at Nick Fury, who's ostensibly his boss, and says, "No,
Right.
we take it all down."
Look, they used
We're
the
gonna- we're
Commander
gonna burn
Rogers
down.
costume right.
He's finally cleared his head of the fog from the cryo freeze
Yeah.
enough to go like, we did horrible things during World War II. Even though we knew we were fighting on the side of right, there's still things that we had to live with collectively, with a little bit of shame.
Yeah.
And
The introduction of Sam was great.
This is that with the giant helicarriers that can snipe a guy out of the sky. And yes, Sam Wilson was handled perfectly. They didn't go through this crazy long we need to focus on the origin. How do we origin?
No,
Sam
he's just a
Wilson?
special
And
forces
you
trooper
could-
that has a cool jump pad.
And you could see
exactly.
how they could have a connection, become very good friends, in a very short time, because they have very similar past. They both, they're both veterans of war that they have this
But
connection.
they've
the
lost
PTSD.
people. Well, as soon as he says that when Sam says he watched his friend fall,
Yeah,
it's Bucky.
yeah.
Yeah.
As soon as he says it immediately the first time I saw it, I'm like, well, we're not talking about how wonderful Winter Soldier is.
But then we get, but it does. It leads into Captain America 3,
Right.
where you get all of those connections
Well,
with.
this is the first Captain America where you feel like he's actually on his own at this point. Like in the first movie, he was working for the U.S. government. Second movie, he was still kind of working with S.H.I.E.L.D. until towards the end. And then so this is like the first true Captain America on his own type movie. So,
Look,
And the thing's like my biggest gripe for Phase 2 was like there was not a lot leading to the Age of Ultron as a film as a theme.
Right.
Ultron just sort of shows up. And you have like kernels of the theme, but then there's also other is the Infinity Stones really going to be what it's about? Is it going to be security? But at least with Civil War, okay, I kind of wish Civil War was that Avengers 2.
Well, to me, that's what Phase 2 feels like it was building to, was
it
to
felt like
Cap
it was building,
3.
Yeah, exactly. And
They
it's
needed to get the new Avengers in there and Cap's idea
Yeah.
of running an Avengers team.
right,
and
and
stuff
it's despite the decisions, Civil War just looks great, and I'm really happy the Russo brothers are taking over.
Look, when you even look at the dialogue that was in the trailer versus the dialogue that was in Batman versus Superman, there's way more heart and way more pulling you into it.
Even though the line everybody loves makes absolutely no sense.
Which line?
So was I.
for the movie universe, it does.
Well, because
No, it doesn't.
It does.
No, it doesn't. When have you seen Steve and Tony actually be friends?
Right.
They've been
They're
friendly.
friendly with each other. Yeah.
Not
They've been
friends.
in two films.
Yes.
and they've been at odds in both films for
Yes.
almost the bulk of the entire film.
They've had their
Well,
disagreements,
and
but
that's,
they've
that's
been
also the big sort of problem with like Avengers 2, like Joss Whedon's movies. Like people love them. I've got my problems mostly because like he tends to want jokes over substance a lot of the time.
right.
But my big thing is like, especially like as weak as the opening for Avengers 2 was, at least they sort of have established like, okay, time has passed. There's been a rapport.
And they've been a team for a while,
Right,
and they've done a couple of things.
Like again, it's Joss Whedon sort of like, I'd rather make a joke than build substance. Like it's like you get that one throw. It's like, oh, language. He corrected me for language. Like, I feel like they're chummy now.
This is the thing, because hold on, because let me go through this whole thing, because I got lambasted for this to work, but this is what I said. Here's the problem: is when you have it in the book, when you have it in the comic, you have 30-odd years of stories in which Steve and Tony have run the Avengers
Correct.
together, and they've been at odds in some places, but for the most part, they're with each other. You have 2 films in which they have a lot of interactions. In the first film, when they're in the conference room, Tony is basically telling Steve he's a dumb fuck. Through the fight, basically, whatever. It's just Steve, hey, I need you to help me because I got to get this stupid turbine working. Then it's, them at odds again with each other. We're not soldiers. They're at odds that entire film.
Right.
That entire film until the very end. In Avengers 2, you start with they're kind of together, but immediately
They're
we
joking
realize
and stuff, yeah.
Tony's on a different side than Steve. Steve is the one yelling at him for building the AI, for building Ultron. They're not friends in that film. They're against each other at the farmhouse. They're not friends. Now, hold on. Let me finish. There was an easy way to establish this even greater, and that was using some mention of Stark in Cap 2, and especially the mention of Steve in Iron Man 3 that we talked about all the way back when we did the
Right.
review of the point in which Rhodey sees Tony get out of Killian's compound, and he starts beating people up, and he's like, where did that come from? Even though
he shoots the light.
well, someone at work was like, well, you saw him doing MMA in the second movie. I was like, MMA as like a recreational thing is different than learning how to fight.
Right.
Learning how to fight. All he had to say was, I've been hanging out with Rogers. I've been
Remind
training
me
with
to
Rogers.
remind me to
Yeah.
thank Steve. Yeah.
If you had that, I would have bought it more. The problem is, as soon as I saw that trailer, that was the one thing. As soon as he said it, so was I. And I'm like, no, you weren't. You've never been friends with him, especially not the way that he was obviously friends with Bucky before Bucky dies, quote unquote. So I just don't. The line is a great line.
Maybe it's not in the movie and they just threw it in the trailer.
That's well, I'm sure it's in the movie as well, but it's still to me it's more of like funny. It's a good line and it's got power and everything, but as everybody's going crazy for this line, I'm like, you guys realize that story-wise from what they've been able to show you, and they're hampered by the idea that they only have 6 hours of screen time together.
Right.
That's it. It doesn't work because
But-
it's not true.
But on the other side of that is they would take a bullet for each other.
Doesn't mean they're friends.
But then you also have to think
So
about,
if they
you know,
change-
the whole situation like in the second Avengers movie when they're all hanging out having a party together. You think if they weren't friends they wouldn't be like hanging out with each other? I mean,
They're going,
it-
but
it's
now
a
you're
big
filling
party.
in,
it shows
you're,
that kind of friendship between the two of them.
you're
Yeah,
filling in the gaps
friends
with
fight
imaginary
with each
scenes.
other all the time. Friends always fight with each other, but they're
And
always
Tony
There's a
also-
lot of
Tony
people at
also
that party,
cared
though.
enough to invite Falcon too.
Yeah.
So.
A lot of people hang out.
I'm not
aren't
saying that they're
necessarily
not. What I'm
friends, though,
saying is to
either,
have
so-
that line be the one thing that everybody took away and like, oh my God, it's so powerful, it's so crazy. I can't believe. I mean, we've been going through their friendship for so long and it's over. And I'm like, it was over at the
Yeah.
farmhouse.
Well,
I
do you
get
think
it.
do you
I
think
get
it would have been
that.
better if they would have like, well, I would have taken a bullet for him, or I would have,
Well, I also feel
No,
like
it's
it's,
just-
it's also a trailer too. It could be
Yeah.
a line.
There
from
could be
another,
some- yeah.
It could be a line from another part of the movie that's completely not tied to that other
Yeah.
piece of dialogue.
I say it's good. It's good in the trailer, but it's more of I'm not sitting there going, oh, it's so stupid or whatever. It was funny to me to see how many people reacted to it in such a emotional, positive way, and me being an asshole was like, no, it isn't. It doesn't work in the context of the story they've presented to you.
But there's also the chance that something earlier on they are buddy, and then there is a catalyst that causes.
yeah, they're just
that.
hanging out with
For me, the
Peter.
best scene is that it's just like, oh, look at Iron Man just letting them punch him. It's like, well, you're in the Iron Man armor.
But even the
You
team,
guys really think that you're gonna crack Shellhead? Come on, guys.
the team up moves that they were showing.
Yeah, exactly. That's why it's like, oh, Iron Man is being very
well,
generous.
that whole. I mean, that
letting-
whole.
Well,
end-
I'm wondering if they depower him in a way before
yeah,
that.
it's entirely.
That's
possible,
the
too.
thing. Is,
Well,
yeah.
they show Winter Soldier grab Iron Man's chest
Right.
plate
Like,
too.
yeah.
which I'm disappointed in because I see Bucky mouth something that I just did not want to know. and I don't know if I should say it because
I'm
it's a
your
spoiler.
Don't
Oh, no.
say it if
Yeah.
it's a spoiler.
I'll mention it to you guys later. if
I
you
want your
but-
cock.
No, but yeah, it's,
No, that was Rich's mouthing to the.
Just
Oh my
so
God.
wacky.
I mean,
No,
like,
save Bucky! Save that hair! Oh my God!
that close up of him trying to rip out the arc reactor, Bucky is mouthing something, and it's like just a musical overture. So they cut it out, obviously, for that sake. But if you look and you can kind of tell what he says, and it's just like, really, why would
Okay,
you do
I
that?
wanna-
The
I-
biggest
hold on,
disappointment
hold on.
people had with this trailer, though, was there was no Spider-Man.
Which is a good thing.
They're
Save,
good.
And
That's-
no
that's
Hulk.
save Spidey.
Good because
Please save Spidey.
Look what
Please.
they did to Doomsday.
dear Marvel, please save Spidey.
I
If
want
they show the actor who plays Peter, whoever that, if we don't,
Yeah, 'cause
I don't think we know
like,
who it is.
he's
We do
If
know
they
who it
show,
is.
okay,
Yeah.
so if they show Peter in the second trailer, I'm
It's
fine.
Toby something.
Please, Toby Maguire,
No, it's not Toby
Please-
something. It's something like
please
that.
save the suit for the movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Save him in the suit for the
I
movie.
want him to do what Star Wars is doing with Luke Skywalker. Keep him out of everything.
He won't be in the movie
everybody,
at all.
Let everybody
He'll
go.
be in the Miles suit, black and red.
I'm wondering if he will be, to be completely honest. I think they might do the black suit.
No, the suit already leaked on the internet a couple months ago.
Yeah, they already leaked it.
They can
It's
change
the red and blue.
Yeah.
Okay, but here's
They could change it,
hold
but,
on,
you
hold on.
It
They
looks
might
like
do
the
the
one
Iron
that's at
Spider also.
Disneyland.
This is what I want to talk about. The trailer's amazing. We can't wait for the movie. Black Panther looks fucking awesome. We love it. Captain America: Civil War debuted online to a record-shattering to 61 million global views in its first 24 hours. How is that a record-shattering? Because didn't Star Wars get 100?
Yes.
That's what I don't understand. People were like, "Oh, it's a record. It's a record." I'm like,
No.
that can't be a record.
It's a
Unless
record
they're
for
saying, like,
Marvel,
it's-
though.
Yeah,
No, because
could be
they were
saying-
in the article is actually comparing it to Batman
Wars?
versus Superman,
Oh.
talking about how Batman versus Superman didn't break the record that Civil War did the week
can
before.
Maybe they're just talking about superhero
I can
movies and not-
imagine that the preface that they're leaving out. It's like when you see movie reviews on posters and there's always ...
Right.
Yeah.
Well, this is the article from Cosmic Book News. Marvel has let it be known that the recent Captain America: Civil War trailer has shattered the world record for most views in a 24-hour time period, which was previously held by the Avengers: Age of Ultron. While the info doesn't specifically state the sources of viewings, we are guessing not only YouTube but also Facebook and various other social media sites and video players. Marvel also confirms Captain America: Civil War trailer will be attached to Star Wars: Force Awakens, but nobody cares about that movie anymore, right? Yeah, but no, I thought
They're
it was
leaving out
weird.
a
I
lot
was
of
like,
info in terms of what they.
yeah, that just
Or
seems
what's
like
the-
what's the
Is it a record for a comic book movie?
yeah, what's the
Yeah.
preface?
That's
Yeah.
my guess.
They're
It's the
leaving
record for a
out?
comic book movie or something
That's
attached to
probably
a
what
comic
it
book.
is.
'Cause
Either
the
that or
way-
like a Marvel movie. Or
Force
something.
Awakens is just that was like
I thought it was like
millions.
124 million.
Yeah,
or
it was
something.
something like 24 hours. It was at least 100 million. It was
Mhm.
insane.
Yeah, no,
Hell, there was
there's
the
definitely-
100 million that were at the convention when it
Yeah,
first
that's true.
started. That got-
So
Yeah, there's
that move,
there's a
that move that
asterisk
Falcon
that
makes
they've
against the
left
two
off.
soldiers, though, the wing and the flip and the, I'm excited.
yeah.
So Marvel.com is even showing that it's set the record.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably for some preference of being a comic book movie or something like to that.
It's
effect.
kind of like when they say it's like the #1 movie in America, and on the bottom it says in comedy,
Yeah,
in the
Right.
comedy
The
genre or
family
whatever.
friend-
yeah. The
Number
#1
movie in
family
America
friended
from
movie.
This date to this date.
Yeah. The #1 movie in America at 10 a.m. East Coast time.
Okay, so let's see. Star Wars breaks.
Brilliant ... piece of shit.
This is
All those
brilliantly
crappy
done as a
blurbs that
piece of
they
shit.
yeah.
Yeah.
put on there.
Exactly.
So
This
while-
is the #1 comedy.
So while Rich is looking, this
Star
it's
Wars
horrible.
did 30.65 million views in one day.
That's it?
That's it.
That's impossible.
Yep, it did 30.5.
It didn't do 31 million views in 24 hours.
Nope,
wow.
it's right there. So it did. It's 61.
All right,
That's
then.
crazy.
Seems odd.
That
does
is
seem,
weird.
That seems very low.
Especially because it says this is it breaks the Guinness World Record. Hold on. At the time, this is June 19th, but that means that the Avengers Age of Ultron trailer would have already been released. And the other article says that that was the previous record holder before Civil War.
Right.
That would have been the second full trailer then, not this latest one, right? The latest one would have been more.
No, but the first trailer that they showed at that celebration, which was in April, Age of
well,
Ultron.
This is for the second one. Guinness World Records has confirmed that the second trailer for the highly anticipated Star Wars
That would be
film
the
now
second
holds,
one,
Yeah,
though.
now holds the record for the most viewed movie trailer in YouTube. That's just YouTube.
Okay,
That's the
just
other thing.
YouTube.
That's just YouTube. I thought they said like with everybody watching it on Facebook and everything else, it was like
Maybe
100
they
million.
didn't add up all those, and that's how they're getting around it.
Yeah, it was great.
Is they're encompassing
Like
YouTube and Facebook and everything else, saying, okay,
Yeah.
now
Well,
it's
that's what they're
61.
saying.
If you took
Anyway.
all of Star Wars with YouTube and everything like that, YouTube, Facebook,
5
whatever.
people watched it. 'Cause no one's gonna go see Star Wars.
But yeah, no, I mean this trailer, it felt like the rest of the Marvel universe. It didn't feel, nothing that I saw felt like it would be out of place.
Right.
Right.
There weren't, it didn't. I didn't have that same feeling when I watched the Batman and I saw some weird cuts and things like that in the trailer, or shoehorning Wonder Woman into the trailer.
Right.
Wonder Woman.
Yeah, because even like Wonder Woman is like that would have been a nice surprise, but you gotta sell.
Well,
sell.
especially
Which
you'd already
makes you
seen so
wonder-
much of
It's
them.
it's that popular actress from Fast and the Furious playing Wonder Woman. You know that beloved
But
character that she plays.
She's one of the cars, right?
I think so.
Because that's all anybody cares about.
But I think
The
before
cars
that,
and,
she's in the
Rock's-
party scene too, but they don't show that in the trailer.
Right.
If
See,
you would
and
have
that would
shown,
have been a good place to introduce, especially because everybody who knows that movie knew who her character was.
Right.
Great place to introduce her.
If they-
not introduce the villain, just to show her, basically.
if they would have done it where Lex introduces Clark and Bruce, and you have that moment, and then she's standing there with Lex, so you have all three of them there together at that introduction, it would have worked for me for the trailer.
yeah.
Yep. But no.
But no. And I
So-
think that's the problem between DC and Marvel when it comes to the films.
I think they're just like, we need to show as much as we can to get people excited to see it, and I think
And
that
it
was the biggest
backfired
that's the
because
biggest mistake.
I think only one person on my entire Facebook feed actually liked the trailer. Everyone else is just like, meh.
And don't get me wrong, DC for television, aside from Gotham maybe, they do really well, and they do
Yeah.
good television. And I
they're
like
also-
Gotham.
They're also at least having fun on
Right.
television. Even with Smallville, they learn at some point once the first set of producers left and the new people took over, they learned to have fun with
Yes.
the DC universe and it's going to be a little different, but let's just why
Well-
can't we do all this really cool stuff?
Take Jessica Jones and Daredevil out of the mix. And, DC has 100% done better on television than Marvel.
Right.
Well, yeah, because then you just have one show.
Because of S.H.I.E.L.D.
yeah.
Well, but even if you look at the cartoons and everything else,
I don't know. Earth's Mightiest was a
Yeah, I was gonna say Earth's Mightiest Heroes was fantastic.
but
The
you
90s
didn't-
Spider-Man was good too, and the
Yeah.
X-Men.
X-Men.
but if you look at Batman, you look at Superman, you even look at Young Justice.
It's hard to do the cartoon shows because the cartoon shows on both sides have
Been
been
good.
consistently good on both ends
Yeah.
because they're beloved characters and you can do a lot more in a cartoon
That's true.
that people will accept than in a movie. I still don't know why that's true in this day and age, but when it's in a cartoon, people just like, yes, I do believe Iron Man would go to space. But if you did that now, people would be like, "Whoa."
You can incorporate more characters throughout their
Right.
both histories.
Yeah.
Plus, you got a lot more
Yeah.
time. I mean,
Yeah.
you've got 11 hours worth
Yeah.
of content every season.
So
versus
speaking of comic books,
Man,
I
Earth's
mean
Mightiest was so good.
cartoons and television,
Cartoon.
well, even comic books.
What are comic books?
Samurai
I
Jack
talked
got announced that it's being
Yes, a few days ago, in a complete surprise that no one saw coming,
He's been
Genndy
working on it in
Tarkovsky
secret,
and-
apparently, which
yeah,
is good.
Cartoon Network announced that they're bringing Samurai
What's the,
Jack
what's the
back in
trailer count on
2016.
that? I'm sure. I
And there's
easily-
nothing to it. I still
there's
watched it 4
absolutely
times.
nothing to it.
Easily beat Batman versus Superman, right? I mean, just like the view count, it gotta be insane on that.
793 million.
Well, it
views
was.
in
I
the
mean,
first
it was
24
something
hours.
that came out, and I saw it on Facebook, and I didn't believe it at first. I thought it was a joke, and then I found it on the Cartoon Network's
like,
website or
yeah.
whatever, Adult Swim website, and I'm like, this is real, and this is one of the things. Like, I want all the information right now, and there was nothing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but wait, I have questions. What are you going to do? Because famously, Genndy Tartakovsky has said for years that he would never go back and do Jack because the voice actor
No,
for
Mako.
Aku, Mako, was dead,
Right.
and he was not going to he wasn't going to recast him. No one has said what this is going to be, and
Right.
it's not super important at the moment, but it's one of those questions in my head, like, what changed his mind? What did he
what,
do?
when,
Why?
where,
Why are you doing it now? Or is he going to finish it? Are we going to get? Because I've had this dream for years that at the very least he would go back and do a film, and it would be the very beginning
That
of the
was one
film.
of the things they were planning on doing.
Yeah, one of my dreams was the beginning of the film is that Aku is silent.
Yeah.
That he either has an interpreter or he has, it's almost like the voice of Sauron that was cut from Return of the King.
Right.
Just this character that speaks for him, Aku doesn't have to speak anymore. You kind of like, you respect that part of it. And Jack, because Samurai Jack's one of my favorite cartoons of all time. It is an amazing, amazing, amazing cartoon, especially in the fact that so many episodes are completely different tonally and visually. I mean, it's just absolutely amazing what he did with that series. It is incredible, and I've always wanted, I want to get to the end. I'm so invested in that character. I want to see him win. I want to see him go back in time. I want him to save everybody and just be this awesome samurai dude who's just incredible. Oh my god!
But here's the thing
does
that everybody.
Kenny have
Well,
kids?
and that's
Maybe his kids
Maybe.
do.
Well, because
I don't know.
they did
So
do
they
that one
do
time.
that.
They did in one of the episodes. They showed him going back to the past. He was already an old man, so there's still a lot of story to tell.
But here's the one thing
So-
that everybody
and they
seemed
could
to.
also Mako was also doing Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yes,
And
they used his understudy, right?
Yeah, he used his understudy. He passed the role on to him, and easily. I mean, the guy sounds almost exactly like him,
Right.
And it's just like even if they went to him,
Yeah, because Aku's
They
voice
said he
isn't
didn't-
too hard to imitate
No.
either. I mean,
so they could easily ask him to come back, or they could tone down the part and still have him around, but.
But one of the things that everybody seems to be overlooking with this and not realizing is Samurai Jack was Cartoon Network.
Right.
It wasn't Adult Swim. Even though Adult Swim is Cartoon Network, it's their adult version of the shows that they put on there. So this Samurai Jack is most likely going to be a lot darker.
No,
in
I don't think
tone.
it's that. I just think
They
it's
know all the
the amount of
Or
time.
the kids that we're watching are
Yeah,
now
is-
grown
they're
up.
now Adult
We're
Swim.
watching
Yeah,
Adult Swim, yeah.
I mean that was 2000. This is 15 years old.
Right. It was 2001 to 2004.
Yeah.
Which I didn't
It's
realize it was only 52 episodes.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There's only
I
3
thought
seasons.
I thought it was more than that.
There's only 3 seasons. There's only 3 DVDs.
Yeah. So, I don't know. It'll be
I mean, dude, Samurai
that
Jack
coming out?
next year. X-Files comes out next year.
Yep.
I mean, it's insane the stuff that's coming back.
I think it's what is it?
X-Files is January.
Yeah, X Files is January for a miniseries.
When is Samurai Jack?
I think
Don't think
2016.
I think it's
Yeah, they just said
They
it's
said there'll be
February.
more information in 2016. More than likely, we're not going to know anything before Comic Con.
Right. That's probably
So
save it.
I can finally say this now because my company does the. We put in the studio at Cartoon Network for the voiceover booths, and we happened to be there taking pictures 2 weeks ago, and they had
Is Phil Lamar there?
no, they had the image
Oh,
from the trailer up on a board, and I was like, no. And they had dates, they had some prelim dates down for like some of the actors to come in. And I was like, no, that's not. And they're like, well, we can't confirm or deny this, but So I was like, when I finally saw that this broke, I was like excited to finally be able to tell Chris, especially because I know Chris has been.
Literally dreaming about
Yeah,
this.
I remember, especially when the Tartakovsky Star Wars stuff came out. You
Yeah.
were freaking out.
Yeah, no, his stuff is fantastic, and he's good with a lot of different genres and types.
Yes.
I mean, he's got that.
Bionic Titan.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I saw. Is now that Samurai Jack's back, is there any chance we can get Symbiotic Titan back?
One thing at a time.
Well, they've talked about bringing Dexter's Laboratory back.
Again for a second time.
Yes.
And I just go, no. The first time they brought it back, it was not. None
Hey,
of the.
You are
The
stupid.
animation team was different. The voice actors
I
were
didn't know it was
different.
brought back.
Yeah, they brought it back.
And then the Powerpuff Girls they brought
You're
back, but
stupid.
that's
You're
they started to bring it back, but then they didn't, and now they've talked about.
They've done specials, like
Yes.
short
Yes.
specials.
Yeah.
And stuff. but
They
now
are
they're bringing
they are
a
making a
completely
new
a completely
computer
new version
generated thing with none of the original voice acting. And
Yeah,
as
and
far as I'm concerned, it's not
It's not. It's not.
because I don't even think
That's not
Tartakovsky's
Dexter.
involved in it.
No,
Is it?
it's not Craig McCracken.
Yeah, it's
and his wife
the
Barbara
4th
Jackson.
season of Boondocks where
Yes.
Aaron Cooter was like, I'm not involved in this at all, and
Yeah.
it is an abomination.
Yeah, but
It's the
you're right.
worst thing
It
ever.
is more of a 3D style animation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's just,
not-
it's not the same characters. It's not the
Not
same writing
interested.
team.
I love Powerpuff Girls
They didn't even
also.
ask,
It's one of my
Tara
favorite
Strong
shows.
Went on Twitter. She was saying that they didn't even ask her back.
Nope.
Yeah.
So they just are not interested in
And I'm not interested in
keeping
it, so
that
we'll
show
put
good.
it that way.
So yeah.
Speaking of MST3K,
Because I think Lauren Faust, who also she's Craig McCracken's wife, but she also was a writer on like Foster's Home with him, and I think did some Powerpuff Girls stuff. She's got My Little Pony, so
Right.
she's the one who brought it back to TV. So I'm
how did
sure
that work
she's
out for her?
Doing, I'm sure she's doing fine.
Oh yeah, she
without-
Matter of fact, she was actually going to try to do another. She was going to do Milky Way and the Galaxy Girls,
Okay.
which they kind of have a Powerpuff Girls
Oh, yeah,
look
that
to
was-
them.
They need to get her on Gem and the Holograms to make up for that terrible movie.
What
Yeah.
movie?
Oh, the movie that they took out in 2 weeks.
What movie?
Yeah, it was in theaters for 2 weeks.
What movie?
Oh
Um,
man.
Do we want to talk about Mystery Science Theater 3000, or do you want to save that for another?
I'd like more information to come out before we talk about it, because like we now have like almost a complete cast, but the two guys who do the voices of the robots now did
Yes.
a Funny or Die or a College Humor thing
Mhm.
for Star Wars, and just like, nah, I'm okay.
Yeah, they
Okay.
matter of fact, Kevin and Bean had Jonah on.
And they're
On
like
one
the
this
sad
week.
part is like apart from the girl from the Sears commercial, everyone else I like.
Felicia
girl
Day?
Yeah,
from the
Felicia Day.
She was. You've
The
never
girl
seen-
from the Sears commercial is Felicia Day.
I like all of them.
That's all.
Not the Guild or
See, this is
anything else.
this is the thing. Yeah, when I was
I like them
listening
all
to
individually. Like,
when I was
Patton
listening
Oswalt's
to
Kevin and Bean?
Kevin and Bean was talking about it, I said it feels it's like a fan thing. If Joel wasn't involved, I would actually be
Be
more
more
interested
excited,
because I'm
yes.
like, this is just fans going, we're going to take the torch and we're going to make our own new Mystery Science Theater 3000 and we're going to get the money. We're going to use Patton Oswalt's name. We're going to use Felicia Day's name and we're going to get the money and we're going to do it. And if these guys don't want to do anything with it, that's fine. That's fine. You know, if Mike doesn't want to do anything and the guys who did Tom
Right.
and Servo, that's fine. But here we're knowing the involvement of the original creator who, from whatever reports and rumors and stories and whatever, just didn't seem to get along with all of those people towards the end. I mean, there's a reason why he stopped doing it and Mike came in. It's like his involvement almost seems to taint it, where I'm listening to it going, I'm sure this would be funny, but I don't know if I'm really interested because it's not my MST3K, and that sounds so stupid. But at the same time, like, I think Patton Oswalt's funny. The
Yeah.
host guy was funny, and like I'm sure whoever's
Jonah,
writing writing the
guys
bots.
who did the bots, one of them is a stand-up comedian. I've heard his stuff before. Like again, like
Well, they've-
individually-
Yeah, they're like partners or something,
yeah,
aren't
they're
they?
all individually really funny.
It sounds like
people.
Jonah is doing a lot of
And
the.
I like him on the Nerdist.
Yeah.
And I just like for me and Felicia Day, like as much as I like people love
She's
her.
funny. She's
and,
good.
And I just like she's like I don't care for her, and it's not like I don't care like as a
And
person.
she
I don't know her as a
created
person.
it. She
seems
created
really
an
nice.
empire with the Guild.
And, yeah, she did, and like I was never into World of Warcraft, so the Guild was never my thing. But like kudos to her for getting the role, but still like none of this seemed like.
Well, she's
like-
also been. She was in Warehouse 13 for a little bit. She was
Yeah,
in.
Actually, you know that speaking, I did like her in Warehouse 13.
Yeah, she was in Alpha. She was in. Oh God, what was the other one that they had that was about the sheriff in the town? But she's also in Supernatural and things like that.
Yeah, man, I
She just makes a run of the geek. Sorry,
It's basically yeah.
there's a picture online of this person put on Twitter, a picture of Dave Grohl from Foo Fighters and Dave Grohl from Nirvana, but it says singer from Foo Fighters, drummer from Nirvana. And the quote is that if the singer from Foo Fighters shaved, he would just look like the drummer from Nirvana. I don't know why, that just became really, really funny.
So, anyways, on that note, I think we're going to wrap things up. So, anybody got anything they want to add or say before we go?
Sorry, Felicia Day. I'm sure you're a nice
2 plus 2
person.
is 4.
Felicia's cool. I'm
I'm sure
That's
she's a
what-
nice
that's
person.
what I wanted to add.
She seems like a lovely human being. but
she's
it's
also
like,
got Geek and Sundry that she's
yeah,
created.
She does, and that's it's like for me. It's just like I don't know. I feel like
Best-selling
I feel like-
author.
yeah, I feel like I'm the-
as a nerd because I'm a hot redhead.
I feel like I'm the guy in like Body Snatchers, where it's like, what, like the person from the Sears commercial.
Yeah,
Really?
I mean, she was in there for like she had two
Two
commercials.
or three commercials. Like for me, that was my first exposure to her, and it's like
I don't remember commercials for Sears. I mean, the hell
yeah.
would it be?
But it's also for me. It's like I don't know. Like I feel
Before
like
half the
everyone's trying to
the
sell
store's
me
closed.
her on her geek cred. It's like you don't need to sell me on her. I'm sure she's a nice person. I just don't care for her.
Yeah, she's got plenty of geek creds.
Yeah, she does. But I feel like it's like no, but she does this and that. It's like
She's
I don't
also
care.
she's also like a cellist or a violinist or something. Yeah, she's.
I feel like I'm in Body Snatchers. It's like what? Suddenly everybody likes this person, and I'm out of the loop. And it's
Yeah.
like no, it's too late for me. It's too late. They past the point where I can get into that person as a thing in society. Get off my lawn, kids.
She's very tight with Joss Whedon too.
Yeah, I'm sure she is. She was in Doctor Horrible.
Doctor Horrible. She was amazing. She can sing too.
She was
Yeah.
all right in Doctor Horrible.
I love
That's
Dr.
that's the
Horrible.
only thing I knew
And
that
again,
she was
but it's
from.
like,
I was
no,
like, okay.
it's just.
I
no,
love
you
Dr.
can't sell me
Horrible.
on. Yeah, nobody can sell me on her, and I feel really bad for it. Like I feel like it's like, no, I should be able to like this person. I should, and I just can't. And I feel really bad for it too. Just like no,
She's had almost every con too. So.
Yeah, again, like it's like I believe you that she's a nerd. Please stop.
What can I do to sell you Felicia Day?
Nothing, and I'm sorry.
It's like trying to sell Joss Whedon to Chris.
And that's fine. I don't like. Again, like I like Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I like the original movie more than I did the show. But just like again, he's another person. Like I believe you, he's a nerd. I just don't care.
Yeah, I'm kind of just like whatever. It's just that what I
Being a
don't-
nerd.
You would
should
like him
not
more
get
if
you
other
brownie
people didn't
points
like
with
put him up
people.
on a pedestal.
No, I'd like him more if he was probably
If
better.
somebody said
with it.
Vladimir Putin was playing D&D in secret, that would still not make me like him more.
You just put Joss Whedon and Felicia Day in the same thing with Vladimir Putin.
Fine.
That's
How you know this
fine,
podcast needs to end.
That's the new Avengers commercial.
If somebody I
Avengers
like, if
movie.
they were telling me like Jerry Brown was playing D&D, I would not like Jerry Brown anymore. I just like, yeah, he got Solar Initiative. He seems like a cool person. I don't even care about his personal life as a thing.
And on that note,
Yeah, and on that note, so check us out at facebook.com/nerdables. We're also on Twitter at Nerdables Show.
I am Putin. I like the end.
And
you, Vladimir
make sure you leave us a comment on one of our
I
my
am Goblin.
different.
I am Goblin.
Should've
and-
Places.
actually
My
made a
mate
much
killed
better
your
comparison,
goblin.
but that was just in my
That was a
head.
bad comparison.
Terrible comparison. It's literally apples and
my white
oranges.
mage kill your goblin.
I do not know why this. Know why
they
this
told me
Felicia
back-
Day has come to my country to take over.
Fair enough. If somebody told me, look, well, Ben Affleck's been reading Batman comics for 30 years, it's like I don't care. I really don't care. Well, come on, man.
You're just digging that hole deeper.
He plays D&D. It's like I still don't care. I like him as an actor, but I just
He was in Phantoms,
he
man.
was in Phantoms.
I don't care about his personal life.
Yeah,
Who
I
gives a
really don't
shit?
care. Yeah, exactly. It's
I
like,
watch him for his movies. That's
yeah,
it.
Exactly how I feel. Like every time, like on my Facebook feed, I get the bunch of like celebrity news. Like I really don't care what they had for breakfast. I just like their movies. I don't need to know about them as a
Do
person.
your job, damn it.
Yeah, exactly.
So make sure you check us out next week when we do another episode of the Nerdables. Or Nerdables.